What is up, Mountaineer Nation and college hoops fans? This is Couz.
And my name is Mountaineer Paul.
And we present to you a live post-game edition of
Hoops from the Hills.
What's up, ladies and gents? We are here tonight to recap West Virginia's 70-58 loss to the SMU Mustangs in the first round of the Fort Myers Tip-Off Classic. A very disappointing ending to a game that started out looking pretty good for the Mountaineers. But we also, before we get into that, we also want to talk about another interesting topic that popped up really right before the game started, actually, and that was it's regarding the Raequan Battle situation. The athletic director, Wren Baker, has chimed in, guys, and he's not really chiming in against the NCAA. He's actually chiming in against fans who –
Those nonsense.
Yeah, they kind of accuse the administration of not doing enough work and not working hard enough to get Raequan approved. Wren took exception to that and put out some tweets, and we're going to talk about that first, and then we will recap the game after that.
And we know that to be a farce, right? I mean, we know for a fact the administration has done everything they can.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In this.
Oops. Let me back up a minute. Sorry, guys.
This is not the first time Wren Baker's done something like this. What's up, guys? What's up? Thanks to your boy Drizzy, Jacob Yoho, Les Bulls, Lisdell Barnes. What's up, guys?
All right.
First off, that's right, buddy.
Get WVU Baseball Charter took to Twitter about 5 hours ago, and we're recording this at 11:20 p.m. Eastern. He says, "Yep, at Rim." Oh, let's see. Oh, let me back up. All right. Ethan Bach had put out a tweet earlier that said, "I love when the new information emerges all of a sudden for the NCAA to change their minds on these waivers," with a laugh emoji. And what he was referring to is Cincinnati had a guy that they've been waiting on to get an appeal approved, and he got it. And the NCAA once again said they received new information, which made them change their minds, which harkens back to the North Carolina football player where they said the exact same thing after North Carolina had threatened them with a lawsuit. With the owned online by Wren Baker, which used to be the Smoking Musket account, said, "I've seen enough at this point. If Ray doesn't play this season, WVU didn't try hard enough." In response to that, Get WVU Baseball Charter replies, "Yep, at Wren Baker and at Gordon Gee," and he actually tagged them in it. "Need to do more. Miller was very vocal at UC." That's UC coach Sean Miller. Or is it Sean Miller? Anyway,
yeah,
it's the UC coach. Very vocal about UC being upset with the NCAA. WVU has been way too quiet. Well, Wren Baker didn't appreciate that, and here's what he had to say. "I don't usually respond to social media experts, but this one I'm going to. The committee doesn't have Twitter comments in their packet, so none of the public comments people make actually make a difference. It does not get to the committee, and it does not have an impact."
Wes Miller, by the way.
Wes Miller. Yeah, sorry about that. Wes Miller. He goes on to say, "We have spent a lot of time and resources, including using a law firm that specializes in waivers and NCAA-related issues to assist. Saying that we haven't, quote-unquote, done enough is pretty uninformed and off base when you don't have any experience on how the process works and what goes into it. Our compliance team, university general counsel, and outside counsel have done everything possible on both the initial waiver and the appeal." And, of course, a bunch of WVU fans in the comments are basically saying, "That's my AD. Way to go, Wren." Basically backing up Wren and what he did here. First off, Paul, I think it's pretty refreshing that has an AD that is this engaged with the fan base.
Yeah.
That is willing to respectfully call out ridiculous comments. And I'm not judging these guys. I've been guilty of making ridiculous comments of my own on social media. So I'm not above it either, but it's cool to have an AD who does that. So what do you think about that? First off.
Well, we've had Wren Baker. Luckily, we were lucky enough to talk to him, and he's very candid. very engaging, very honest, upfront person. Probably to a fault. I mean, even in my conversations with him, like he's been really straight shooting kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's really who he is. He gets down to business pretty quick. You know, he's not one of those kind of guys that beats around the bush about things. And you know, I like the fact that he didn't specifically call out anybody, even though I think he retweeted what the guy said, didn't he? Or did he just respond?
I think he just replied, actually.
He's, you know, because it's not like he's trying to discourage fans from being upset or planning or anything like that. You've never seen him retweet anything said about Neil Brown. You know, there's credit. You know, it's like you give credit where it's due, but you know, some of these takes are just frustration by the fans, and while they're not always informed, I still feel like they need, you know, they should be allowed to be voiced.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are just frustrated, man. You watch that performance tonight, and you start to project what some of those guys would look like in the lineup, and then you hear the announcer saying, "We watched the West Virginia scout team play today, and oh my God, if you ever get these guys, they're going to be a handful." You know, and it's like, Jesus, man, I'm tired of hearing about it, and I'm sure the players are tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but at the end of the day, of course, I applaud Wren Baker for what he did, and really kind of assuring a lot of people, which maybe should have been done sooner. Maybe you know, he's probably too deep in the woods to realize that he needs to reassure the fans via social media. But you know, a tweet like that goes a long way to reassuring fans that some things have been done, because it's been all quiet from the university side of this.
Right.
And I think something needed to be said. You know, just like on the Neil Brown situation. Hopefully there's no quiet on that, you know, which I'll be doing a video on that today and tomorrow. Well, today and tomorrow. But yeah, so at the end of the day, though, I really am proud of Wren, and I really think we got the right guy. I do. I just we have to be patient. But I'm proud of him, man, and applaud him for everything he does. You know, he's really been good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's talked openly about how it's great to be at a place where it matters to the fans. So you know he's not going to take away. He doesn't want to take that away. But at the same time, you know, he doesn't. I'm sure he took offense to being accused of not working hard enough when he knows better. And he went about it in a respectful way. And what I think is cool too, and this is a shout out to the two guys he replied to. They actually owned it and said, "Hey," one of them even said, "Hey, I said that out of frustration, but I actually think it's cool that he replied the way he did." So they were even cool with it, because they understood that, you know, they probably spoke out of turn or out of frustration, like we all do as fans occasionally. I've done it. I've done it on YouTube channels. I've done it on Twitter. I've done it, heck, on my own show. So it happens, you know?
Yeah.
We're emotional about our team, man. And that's, you know, sometimes that shows through, but, and again, it is also good, like you mentioned, to know that he kind of laid out some of the things they've done to try to get this appeal approved or appeal passed or whatever the proper terminology is. And it's good to know that stuff, you know. Now maybe people will shut up about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and you make a good point about people being wrong, right, in life, because, you know, it's kind of weird comparison, but I was listening to a Howard Stern interview earlier today with the guy, and he was talking about, you know, in this day and age, a lot of people like to die on their heels on social media, or a lot of people like to double down on things they're wrong about. Even nobody takes the time to own up to. I'll say, I'll keep it on me. Sometimes I have a hard time owning up to things that I'm wrong about. And sometimes I like to down that heel out of frustration or stubbornness.
I do the same thing.
And I applaud those two guys for owning up to that. And because it could have turned into a one-sided war, because Wren would probably not have replied again, but it could have turned into an uglier deal. From the Smoking Musket's a pretty big account. You know, I mean, they have quite a few followers. I don't know who the other person was, but you know, so I mean, you got to manage that stuff when you have an account like that if you want to keep your followers. You know, I mean, stuff like that matters to people. So I'm glad they responded the way they did and applaud
Yeah.
them for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was Edward Sheenan, by the way, or Edward Sheeran, by the way, that I heard say that. Which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I saw a comment in here. Les Bullis, what are you talking about? Morgantown is not happy about what? What specifically? Can you put that in the comments? That kind of piqued my interest when you put that in there.
I think he's just talking about the loss tonight, probably.
I assumed that's what he meant, but I wanted to make sure that's what he was referring to.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that in a second. Real quick, though, we need to give a shout out to our sponsor.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and I can go into the first part if you want to do the middle, and then I can finish it up.
Oh, well, I don't have it with me.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I usually do the first part.
Go ahead.
It's on my phone. Let me just pull it up.
If you want.
Yeah. All right. This episode of Hoops from the Hills is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time.
With brands like oh, go ahead.
Sorry, buddy. I guess we crapped the bed on this one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. That's okay.
With brands like, go ahead, though.
With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Subaru, Hyundai, and others. Dutch Miller Automotive. I don't know it, man. I don't have it memorized.
Oh, I thought you had it pulled up. I'm sorry, bro.
Nope. I don't have anything to pull it up on.
Let's just move on.
Go see Dutch Miller Automotive for your purchase or service work. We got to get that fixed for the next one.
It was just it was out of nowhere all of a sudden. I just wasn't expecting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I forget about it, and I'm sure you do too. So,
yeah. So, obviously, this team is extremely fatigued right now. I mean, it's it's frustrating to watch for me as a fan because I know that this team is better than SMU tonight. The first half really for me solidified that. SMU's a good basketball team, but I don't think they would beat us at full strength. And I was so mad they beat us tonight because they got a bunch of mouth runners, and the Lanier kid really pissed me off tonight, hooking up with, but I'm sure that was the goal going into the game. Their coach probably told them, beat them up, be as physical as you can with them. They've got a bunch of young guys out there, and they're not a typical Bob Huggins team. There's only one or two guys on this team that are truly, in my opinion, Bob Huggins tough, and that's a lot of how that has to do with these are new guys. Nothing against Josh Eilert, but the legs are gone, obviously. But, at the end of the day, man, when you got a short bench, there are coaching points that you can do and make to help with that,
Right.
Kind of like Neil Brown does. You can slow the game down. That's one thing. You can run offense. You can draw fouls on the other team, shorten their bench, so that they have to slow the game down on their end. And unfortunately, we just weren't able to do that enough tonight. And it's going to be a song we hear a lot about, especially if we don't get the three big guys we need back. At least two of the three. If you add the two guards in, then I think this team will be fine. With Quinn showing up like he has, we've still got two bigs with Quinn and Jesse. And then the guys that are starting can be backups, and they'd be much better suited there. Kobe was just way out of his element tonight after playing the best game of his career with the pressure. In the backcourt, he looked really, whenever they threw the ball in, he looked really, really out of place when they pressured. And So overall, I was disappointed with this game because I feel like the first half we really were a better basketball team, and unfortunately ran out of gas in the second half.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try this one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, this episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I wanted to make sure we did it justice. They pay us to do that, so I felt like it was fair to do it right.
Yeah, we did it too late, but
yeah, it's okay. That's okay.
we get our minds on other things. It's hard,
Well, I mean,
sometimes it's hard to think about what your thumbnail is going to be, what your title is going to be.
yeah.
What, is the time right? Should we, because we were sitting here discussing before the show, should we record it? Is there anybody waiting on us? It's too late, and you just forget about things like that. So we're really sorry to Dutch Miller. I hate we almost forgot that again.
No, that's well. I mean,
Early.
from a live stream standpoint, it's actually the most people we've had in here, so that it works out in that regard. The people that watching on the replay may be a little different, but it's okay. It all works. We're doing it. So, heck, there's been a few times I forgot to do it at all. So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's
all right.
not fair.
Let's. I'm gonna go over some stats here from the game. When we look at the team stats, Paul and I were talking before the show. My gosh, West Virginia won in most statistical categories, with the exception of field goal percentage. We didn't shoot the ball well, 37% to their 48. 3-point percentage, they shot at 35. West Virginia shot at 31. We shot 21 free throws, but only made 13 of them. That hurt, but they only shot 6 free throws total for the whole game. So, I mean, we led there. We had more rebounds than they did, 39 to 33. They had more assists than we did. They had more steals than we did. We had more blocks. Total turnovers. This, to me, was the biggest factor in the game. West Virginia turned it over 15 times to SMU's 8. But we should have made up for that with the free throw shooting. But between the turnovers and the missed shots, man, that was just the difference. But I think at the end of the day, it was fatigue, man. I mean, just this team is just not deep enough.
Defense broke down.
Yeah, defense broke down.
Yeah.
That when they figured out how to beat that 2-3 zone, and when the guys had to go back to playing man again, they couldn't do it. They were too tired, and their shots were falling short near the end of the game. I mean, heck, Jesse was missing layups, which he don't normally do. So let's just be frank, guys. It's going to be a struggle for this team if they don't get these guys back. I mean, it just is. I mean, we should be sitting here 4-0 right now, and we're 2-2. So
right, and we actually got the short end of the stick because Virginia was upset tonight by a team that they're probably better than. And they were missing a guy or two. So they'll probably be healthy for our game, of course, and be full strength. And we'll play a really good Tony Bennett-led Virginia team. So that's unfortunate. But I think our guys are going to, hopefully they're not going to make excuses. I think Josh Albert's made that very, very clear. But yes, you're right, by the way, John Kelly. Fatigue can lead to injury, and especially in the ankles and stuff like that when you get tired. I know I've sprained my ankle once when I was really tired in a basketball game. So you get lax, But really, where the fatigue showed up to me was on the defensive end, like you were saying. And you're right. They went from zone to man, which actually zone is better for preserving energy, but you still have to play it with an intensity, right? And the other thing about the zone is it puts a lot on Jesse.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we need him to score, And to keep it real, Quinn, who has been an absolute, just an amazing surprise, I feel like he has filled in and played just as well, if not better. I mean, to be truthful, I can't tell much of difference between him and the kid that went to Kentucky. They're really very similar players, and on the stat perspective, we've lost nothing in that regard. But from one guy to the next, and it's just unfortunate that everything happened the way it did. It really is, man. I really thought this was going to be. I just hate it for Josh Allard. He's not getting a fair shake, So we'll see by game 9. We'll know one way or the other by game 9. We're getting Raequan, things like that, and maybe they'll come out and say something on a Cook. That's always hovering over everything to me. Like they've just not made a statement on it, and why leave everybody in the dark? Unless it's something personal.
And it may be. I know there's they've got those player privacy laws and stuff like that they have to abide by. So
right,
it may be up to him to give him permission to do so, or maybe they can't. And the last time they asked Josh about it, he said they didn't really know anything yet. They were still running tests, but I mean that was a couple weeks ago. So I'm not sure where things stand now. I'll be honest. I'm not really. I mean, if he has a heart problem, which is what Jose Perez came out and said on Twitter, and those guys are friends. So I'm assuming he knows what he's talking about.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. The night it happened, somebody made a comment about it, and Jesse, Jose came out and said it's a heart issue or something like that.
Then his career's over, probably.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it. Is he may not ever play again. I mean, I'm not a doctor.
Thinking about him coming back.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm just, it doesn't sound good. Basically,
it's crazy. 4 or 5 years into your career, or something like that. It's one of those things like, it might be similar to what happened to other guys that have had this happen. Like, it's one of those things. It's almost like playing Russian roulette every time you play ball. And he just happened to miss, the proverbial gunshot.
Right. Randall, I have no idea, my man. I have no idea. That's a good question, but I don't know. Unfortunately, when things like that happen nowadays, it's one of the first things I think of. But whether right or wrong.
Yeah.
But let's look at some individual stats real quick for West Virginia.
Hold on, just 1 second, real quick, Couz.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you explain that a little more, Matthew? I'm not very up to date on that. So if you could name another time that this has happened, I would appreciate it. Because I think that, to me, this would be another mark against the staff. They made some, in my opinion, questionable choices with the players they brought in. They brought in a lot of high-risk players, it seems like. And if he had a history of this, that would be another mark against them, in my opinion. So I would like to know, and I don't mean to sound cold or callous towards a Cook, but I'm just saying from a pure basketball standpoint and bringing in a roster, maybe they had to take these risks, but I would like to know more about that.
And you made that comment about Trey earlier. Look at this.
Yeah, I still think Quinn's playing just as well as he. I mean, Quinn's had a game like that too.
Yeah, he has. I just thought I would rub that in our face.
Right.
But yeah, and I, you know what, I was happy to see too. When I was on Twitter tonight, I was happy to see our fan base. I didn't see a lot of people pissed off about the team tonight. I think people get it. I think his fan base understands the hand that this team's been dealt. I think the fan base understands the hand that Josh has been dealt. They know the challenges that they face, and they know it's just going to be hard for this team to win games, especially when you play a team like SMU who goes, 9, 10, 11 guys deep, whatever they go, who like to get up and down and run up and down the court. I mean, the announcers were joking that they have 5 post players that they play, and we have 1 or 5 bigs. So, I mean, it's just yeah, and John, he was actually dressed tonight, talking about Ali Ragab, but he never got in the game. If it was me, and maybe he's just that bad, but if it was me, I'd put him in at least to give Jesse a breather and muck things up a little bit in the middle or something. I don't know. I guess he just can't.
I mean, Josh has said in the press conference, we got who we got, and nobody else is playing. Like he literally said that out loud.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately.
Yep. Man, it's a shame. And we could have had, and you think we could have had Jesse and Trey both.
We could have. I'd still rather have Quinn. That's just
I would too, but Quinn can't replace Jesse in the middle. Trey can.
Right. Yeah, I'm saying I would take Quinn over Trey.
Yeah, I think I would too after seeing them both play. I think Quinn plays with better effort. Meaning, not saying Trey doesn't play with effort, but I think he had letdown moments. I don't think Quinn does. I think Quinn gives it absolutely 110% from the time he walks on the court to the time he leaves.
To me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
My big problem with Jesse was this, and it's the same thing he did at UMass, is he played really well against teams he was supposed to beat.
You mean Trey?
Well, they were better. Who'd I say?
Jesse.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I meant Trey. But
I know, I knew that, but I don't know. I wanted to make sure the listeners did.
But the teams he was supposed to play well against, he did. The teams that were really like big and physical, he did not. And that's really been true to form this year for Kentucky as well. When they played Kansas, he scored 8. You know, and that's to
Makes
me,
sense.
that's just who he is as a player.
Who'd they play tonight?
St. Joe's.
Okay. And Tim, to answer your question, we have 8 available, 8 scholarship guys available, but one of them, Jeremiah Bembry, was actually out tonight with an injury. So we only had 7 tonight.
Yeah.
And then we have the Ali Ragab, the 7'2" center that's a walk-on, who's not, he's not getting any minutes. He's a project, basically. And he's there to give Jesse somebody to bang around with at practice to get him used to playing against bigger bodies. That's basically what he's there for, is my understanding. So, yeah, we had 7 players tonight against a team who goes about 11 or 12 deep. And it's just – I had a feeling we weren't going to win this game. I was actually surprised we were up by 11 at halftime. But I had a feeling that they wouldn't be able to sustain it. And they couldn't. But anyway, let me go over a few individual stats here from the game. Leading scorer for the night was Jesse Edwards with 18 points. Also had 9 rebounds, so 1 rebound shy of a double-double. Also had 3 blocks. Played his tail off, man. Jesse just plays his butt off. I feel bad for him at times, man, because you can just see him putting his hands on his knees. He's worn out, but he never gives up, man. And he played 36 minutes tonight. Quinn played 34 minutes, put in 13 points, had 1 rebound, 3 for 9 from 3.
He was tired.
He was tired as well. Then Kobe Johnson played 34 minutes, scored 4 points, had 2 rebounds, only 1 assist. And then Josiah Harris played 31 minutes, 6 points, 0 of 3 from 3, had 4 rebounds. Ofri Neve had 5 rebounds tonight, had 6 points, 4 offensive rebounds, pretty impressive. Pat Sumnick played 8 minutes, had 2 points. Seth Wilson played 33 minutes and had 9 points to go along with 8 rebounds. So Seth had a good night rebounding the ball as well.
Yeah, this was one of the more underrated games Seth had. He had
it was
tonight.
It was because he wasn't shooting the ball as well as he had. Well, he was 2 or 4, so he didn't shoot the ball
bad.
That's
the thing. Well, he just needs to attempt more shots.
Right.
To me. I mean, he's so streaky. So you need to get shots up. I mean, nobody. I mean, I don't know. I waver back and forth with him.
I thought he did a good job running the point tonight when he had to come in and do that for a little while. Yep. Jacob, thanks for the super chat, man. Another player.
I have not heard that.
I haven't either, but that would be awesome.
So, do you mean a player that can play this year? I don't see how that'd be possible, but I don't know if there are rules that would allow it or what. Be interesting to see. Uh, Heck, I just want the guys we have. Now the flip side to this is here's the crazy part is neither Noah or Raequan can transfer. So no matter who the coach is, if let's hypothetically say that this they don't get any players back, and unfortunately this is a rough year. If Josh doesn't come back, and I'm not saying that he doesn't need to at all, but I'm just projecting a little bit just for fun. You got a coach coming in to start with Raequan Battle and Noah Farrakhan is your two guards. So that would be kind of fun to think about, even though it's a year away.
Thank you for that info, Jacob. I'm gonna have to. We're gonna have to dig into that and see if we can find anything out about it. Any more details? John Kelly had a question. He said, "Do you guys think more teams will try to press and play full court to wear us down?" Wouldn't surprise me at all, John, to see that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. But
well, and that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Gizmerna, however you want to pronounce that. Unfortunately, this team just haven't been together very long. That's one thing. They're going to be a better basketball team towards the end of the year, barring any injuries. Obviously, it's how it goes. Chemistry is only going to get better as long as everybody can stay relatively fresh. But they don't do a good job passing, and it's really clunky, out there. So I don't know. Wish that would get better, but unfortunately, you've got guys playing out of position a lot. To me, like you've got Seth and Kobe playing primary ball handling spots now, and Kobe's really to me more an off ball type player.
Agreed.
To me. So, I don't know. So I think that has a lot to do with it. He's just never been asked to run the offense full time like this before. So he's really just more to me. I've always looked at Kobe as a defensive. If he ever meets his full potential, he's like a defensive, kind of like a Dax.
A defensive specialist.
Dax turned into a really good scorer, but something like that. So.
Yeah, and I guess if there's a silver lining to this, as you were talking, I was thinking about this, Paul. If there's a silver lining to this, these guys are going to get experience that they would have never gotten otherwise, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, and it could help later in the season or even next season because all of these guys should theoretically be back next year, with the exception of Jesse and Quinn. Does Quinn have another year of eligibility?
5. Yes.
So he does have another year.
Sure, he does.
If he just, if he can come back, we'll lose Kerr for sure, and we'll lose Jesse for sure, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I think everybody else may have another year of eligibility. So, they're getting valuable experience that they can use down the road, even if it's not this year. It might come. So that's something to kind of a silver lining of this whole thing. Real quick, just to go over some of the stats for SMU. Zurich Phelps was their leading scorer with 17 points tonight.
That's what I was worried about.
Yep. Chuck Harris had 12. Ambrose Hilton, or Keon Ambrose Hilton, the forward, had 10.
He missed one shot, didn't he?
Let me see. Yes. No, he missed 2. He was 5 of 7 from the floor. Played 28 minutes. And then one of their bench players, Wright, a guard, had 12 points. And then the leading rebounder on the night was Phelps, who also had 12 rebounds. So he just played a heck of a ball game.
He did.
17 points, 12 boards. So 8 of 20 from the floor. But the Mountaineers have got to take care of the ball better. They've got to shoot free throws better. But most importantly, they just need to get guys back, man. I mean, they just need guys. They need bodies.
Yeah. ESPN says Quinn is a senior, so we could be wrong on that.
Okay.
It's hard to keep up with these guys that's only been in the program for 1 year.
Mhm.
You know, like whenever you're following a team like year like we do, it's weird, man. You know,
Mhm.
because normally I just know what a guy is, and now it's like everything's all jacked up. No problem, Randall.
Thank you, Les. I appreciate you, man. John Kelly says Virginia 6:30 p.m. Wednesday. Think they are half court. Yeah, they are. Virginia plays that pack line defense. That should be a slower paced game, which I think's good for us. So we'll see how that. But man, they're good though. That pack line defense is really good, and I think we may have a slight advantage on them. I don't think they have anybody that can match up with Jesse inside, so that should help us out.
Yeah.
We'll see. Jacob, he mentioned God's love Wabude or however you pronounce it. I saw that we offered him, but I didn't realize that was for this year. I thought that was for next year. But that's interesting. I'll have to look into that. Matthew says Quinn is done, but said in preseason he can apply for an injury waiver from last year if he wants. Let's hope he does. But we all know how waivers go at West Virginia. I'm not getting my hopes up. Jacob, thank you, man. The guy's name is God's Love Nwabade that is coming. Yeah, I saw that we offered that guy, but I didn't realize he was a 2023-24 guy. I thought he was a next year guy.
Yeah, let's look it up real quick. See what he's
Let's
all
do
about. God's love. What a name.
Yep. I like it. Paul's looking that up for us, guys, so we're not ignoring you. And maybe Kerr does have one more season. I'm not real sure. Again, it's hard to keep track with all the COVID year and all the different, red shirts these guys have. It's hard to keep up with it, man. We got guys. I saw where one guy got approved to play a season, and he's been playing since like 2016 or 17 or something crazy.
It says
I'm still on here. I just got to get off camera for a second. Okay.
Here. This is from Ethan Bach, and it says WVU basketball has offered 2024 forward God's Love Nwabade on Wednesday afternoon. Josh Eilert reached out to the Mount Zion prep prospect. Blessed to receive an offer from West Virginia University. Thanks to Josh Eilert. Thanks for the great talk. Nwabade is 6'9", is currently on Mount Zion Prep Academy's roster in Maryland. He is 19 years old. Nwabade is an athletic forward that can finish in the paint with force and would be an option for West Virginia to add after the first semester if they choose to do so. Nwabade is a 2024 prospect, but would have the opportunity to join the team when eligible. West Virginia currently has 3 scholarship players playing in front court with Jesse Edwards, Quinn Slazinski, and Patrick Summitt. WVU also has a walk-on Ali Ragab, a transfer from Gannon University. Wow. Thank you, Jacob. And I don't know how we missed this. To be quite honest, it's an embarrassment that we did. And I apologize to you all. We should know stuff.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we should know about that. I've had a lot going on personally, but we pride ourselves on being in the know about certain things. And just sorry, we did you guys a disservice. So apologies for not knowing about this, not doing a video about this, because this is a big deal. So my bad.
Yeah, thanks,
Randall Lowe.
I'm having lighting issues, guys. I apologize. That's why I'm off camera right now, trying to figure it out.
You play second semester. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, man, I'd like to see some highlights of this kid. I don't know what he's all about as far as the star ratings or anything like that, but very interesting. He's got 11,000 followers on Instagram.
And he's from what school's he coming from?
He's coming from Mount Zion Prep Academy, which is traditionally an elite spot. I'm looking at. It's hard to say why he would be there at 19 years old. It's all a little confusing to me. To me though, I mean, while he would probably be an option and a body to throw in, he's still going to be a freshman, and really, really probably a small kid as far as from a muscle standpoint. So, but I mean, goodness, you can't be mad at that.
Nope, absolutely not.
Is he on
Randall?
Rivals?
Thank you, man. Randall, thank you for the super sticker, my man. $5 super sticker. We appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, I said something about it while you were off camera. I didn't know if you heard or not.
I did not. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I was just letting you know I did acknowledge it. I can't believe we missed this, Couz. I'm so embarrassed, man.
It's all right, man. We're not perfect. They know that.
I know, but good Lord, how? I can't find a star rating for him anywhere.
I'm bad about. I'm not a. Just for full disclosure for you guys, I'm not a huge recruiting guy. Recruiting is not really my thing typically. I do try to cover it some on my shows, but I can look at a guy. I can look at West Virginia offering a guy or getting a commitment from a guy, and if it's not like going to affect the team today, I don't. Sometimes I don't pay much attention to it. You know what I mean? I'm more about the guys that are on the team now or coming in now. So sometimes stuff like that, even though I did read about that guy getting offered and committing, or did he commit or just get offered?
Huh.
Paul?
What's that?
Did he commit or just get an offer?
Looks like it's an offer at this point.
Okay.
But
I did see that, but I didn't. I didn't read up on it or anything like that to get any details. So, again, apologies.
Right.
But Tosh, the QB, we were talking about there's a basketball player named God's Love Nwabade or something that West Virginia has offered, who actually would be possibly be eligible to play second semester of this season, which would be basically after Christmas break. So we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah.
Him getting to play right away might be what gets him here,
That would be definitely a selling point for him, I would say. The fact that he's not on a team makes me wonder, already. And maybe there are some circumstances I just don't know about.
Well, maybe I don't know. I don't know when he'll finish up at his current school. Those Excel videos. I can do Excel videos occasionally, man, but Jordan Couz is the one that's really good at doing the recruiting Excel videos. He keeps track of that really well. I suck at it.
Duggity Dog from back in the day.
Duggity Dog is a highlight video. I'm talking about Microsoft.
I know.
Excel
I was just
spreadsheets.
Talking about recruiting. Remember he?
Videos. Yeah, he was a bit. I miss his videos, man.
He had a couple come out this year.
He did one for CJ, if I'm not mistaken, in the preseason.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was cool.
But yeah, recruiting is just not. I'm not. It's not my strong suit, I guess, for lack of a better term, and it's not something I'm super passionate about, like I am on the field, day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Or on the court in this case. Anything else, Paul, that we need to touch on about this game or about this Wren Baker situation? For those of you who came on late, I guess we need to recap that maybe for the guys who came on, for the folks who came in late. Some fans went to Twitter, and I'll just read it real quick. A player from Cincinnati who applied for a waiver got approved today. And Cincinnati's coach has been extremely vocal about it at almost every press conference. He brings it up. He's been talking about how terrible it is that the NCAA hadn't approved it, yada, yada. Well, today the NCAA approved this guy. Well, the Smoking Musket basically said, I've seen enough at this point. If Ray doesn't play this season, WVU didn't try hard enough, because he thinks WVU should be out in the public, talking about this and doing like a PR campaign, essentially. And then another account, Get WVU Baseball Chartered Flights, said, yep, Wren Baker and Gordon Gee, and he tagged him in it, need to do more. Miller was very vocal, talking about Wes Miller, Cincinnati's coach, was very vocal at Cincinnati about being upset with the NCAA. West Virginia has been way too quiet. Well, Wren Baker went to Twitter and said, he responded, says, I don't usually respond to social media experts, but this one I'm going to. The committee doesn't have Twitter comments in their packet, so none of the public comments people make actually make a difference. It does not get to the committee, and it does not have an impact. We have spent a lot of time and resources, including using a law firm that specializes in waivers and NCAA-related issues to assist. Saying that we haven't, quote, done enough is pretty uninformed and off base when you don't have any experience on how the process works and what goes into it. Our compliance team, University General Counsel, and outside counsel have done everything possible on both the initial waiver and the appeal. So Wren basically he took offense to being accused basically of not doing his job. I mean, it's basically what he got caught out of doing, and for him and his department. So we now know that the university has been working with legal counsel, both internally and externally, on this issue. So they do have a plan.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Tosh. But I'm sure there are other people who had hopped in, maybe late, that didn't know about it. So I wanted to make sure we covered it for everybody. Yeah, Patrick Morrissey hasn't said a word about it since all that happened. Maybe he's the legal counsel they're referring to. I don't know.
You can't really get much better than state and the attorney general,
right.
At least from a power play perspective.
Yeah.
Liz Labard says, what are your guys' prediction for the coaching situation next year, and how do you evaluate it this year given the roster situation? Well, unfortunately, from the look of things, I don't think it's going to be fair for him. If things stay like they are, it would be a miracle if this team got into the tournament. And I think that would have to be the goal, obviously, for this team to get to 18, 19 wins and hope that it's over a good enough competition to get in. It would be shocking if the team is assembled now and got in, right? I think we all know that. So while it's not fair to Josh and company, what Gordon Gee said rings true. He said, Josh Eilert could go to the national championship, and I would still do a coaching search next year. And I'm paraphrasing. So with that in mind, what's going to happen if he don't make the tournament? Is he even going to be a candidate for rehire? Highly doubt it. The guys that are on the roster are going to be on the roster next year, outside of maybe a Kobe or somebody that could transfer. But the guys that would be attractive are basically they're stuck, unless they want to sit out even. So, you wouldn't really want to be, it's not even a player retention thing, really, so you could start fresh with two or three guys that are pretty good. Maybe that's what you do. I don't know the answer to it, because I don't know. Maybe we'll have an idea after this year if Coach Eilert is a good coach or not, but you got to have players at the end of the day. No coach ever won anything without good players.
Right.
Now, like Bob Huggins did more with less for a long time. He's probably better suited to this roster than Josh. But if there was anybody to do it, it would be Josh, being that he sat beside him for 17 years. So while I would personally like to see Josh Eilert get another shot beyond this year, I think he's going to be a good coach. And I hate that he would have wasted, that's a bad word, but this time, just to get this shot with a limited squad. So hopefully the NCAA does right by him and at least gives him, Raequan, because with Raequan and Kerr, it changes the season. Um, and thinking about that a little bit, I keep forgetting that Kerr's coming back. That could change the. I want to hold out some judgment until he comes back to see if this team looks any better, because they obviously, we saw him against George Mason and things like that. We'll see.
Here's the problem: we might be so far in the hole by the time he gets back, we can't dig out of it. If we're a 500 team or worse when he comes back, and we go into Big 12 play with that kind of record, at that point, I mean, how can you expect us to get in the tournament at that point? Unless they're a lot better than we think they're going to be.
Right. So with that said, obviously it's they're up against it, man. And obviously we know who the coaching staff is. Consists of all West Virginia guys except pretty much one guy. 2 if you count Josh Eilert, 3 if you count Jay Couz, right? So I don't know. I would love to see all these guys back. I think especially with Couz, that's the one thing you might risk the chance of losing is an elite GM in Jay Couz. Maybe you keep him around for the next guy. I don't know. But you saw the roster he was able to assemble. It's not Jay Couz's fault that they're not on the floor.
Right.
Just saying. If the guys that they brought in were playing, this team would be 4-0 and I wouldn't even be worried about them beating Wisconsin tomorrow. I would.
Yeah. Well, that's what to answer your question, man. There were a lot of interest based on everything we've heard. There has been a lot of and read it as well. There has been a lot of interest in this job. There was a lot of interest in the job, but the problem is the timing of it. A lot of coaches couldn't leave their current situation. The timing was terrible. There was some really good coaches that essentially told Wren, look, if this were after the season, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But right now I can't, because I can't leave my team in the middle of summer. So there's going to be interest. This is a top 20, 25 job in the country. We have the best. I've heard Huggins say multiple times, we have the best practice facilities in all the country. We have a strong NIL game now. I don't see why West Virginia can't attract a really good basketball coach. And I'm not talking about, and no offense to Jared Calhoun, but I'm not talking about Jared Calhoun. I'm talking about guys. Y'all realize we came that close to getting John Beilein back, man. That's the kind of coaches we might be able to attract. You got guys like Dusty May out there who I think might be interested potentially after the season. I mean, there's just all kinds of guys that would be options for us that were not an option in the middle of summer right before the season's about to start. That was what hurt us. And they basically didn't have a choice but to hire someone from inside because they were not having any luck from outside. So they decided to go ahead and give Josh the interim tag, let him coach the season, and then do, unless he absolutely kills it, do a national search at the end of the year. That was their – and of course, they'll interview him and give him a chance to keep the job. But my gut is, to go back to the previous question, my gut feeling is that he won't get the job. That's just –
yeah.
I think 2 things. I think Wren's going to want to bring in his guy, someone he knows.
And he's a basketball guy.
And he is a basketball guy, and it looks like he's knocked it out of the park with every basketball hire he's ever made, including the women's coach he just hired with Mark Kellogg. The women's team's absolutely killing it right now.
Yeah,
and then
Grant McCaslin's pretty good too.
yeah, he hired Grant McCaslin, one of his jobs. And if Grant McCaslin had not gotten to Texas Tech when he did, I got a feeling he'd be the guy coming. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with this, but nonetheless, I think. Oh, and the other reason I think they're going to try to move away from anything connected to Bob Huggins. That's just my gut feeling. It's not personal to Josh. I just, as long as Josh is there will be kind of a Huggins shadow looming over the program, and I don't think they want that. That's just, like I said, I don't have anybody telling me that. It's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Tosh, You're right, man. We all were. I was pumped up, really pumped up. I was more pumped up for basketball than I was football, probably, to be honest with you. And then that happened, and it took all the wind out of the sails.
And while that's unfortunate, Tosh, about Josh being handicapped, let's keep it real, man. If a Dusty May is available, you take him over Josh Allen 100 times out of 100. This guy's taking FIU to the Final Four. FAU to the Final 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not
And a
easy
preseason
to
top
do.
10 ranking. Think about that.
And there are other
FAU,
guys
man.
obviously out there. Yeah, it's just not easy to do. So you're telling me that you can bring that kind of roster building to Morgantown where you're going to have way more of everything? Sign me up, and obviously he is the most valued coach in the country. It's not like we don't know, but so we just kind of have to hope none of those really, really good jobs come open. If they do, this coming off season. But I'm still not against Josh keeping the job as long as he's doing a good job,
Yeah, I'm not against it at all.
Because you listen to him talk, and to me, intellectually, he's a smart guy. And while that doesn't always make a good basketball coach, little things he has done on the court, to me, I can see he's good at in-game adjustments to me so far. You can only do so much when you're handicapped, but I can point out a couple things that were pretty clever that he's done. So, I hope that he is able to showcase that and get another job at least, if not, which I'm sure he will.
Yeah. Luke, I don't think he's too easy on him at all. He just can't, he can't do a lot of conditioning and running. I mean, he can't use the treadmill like Huggins would do. He'll kill him, physically kill him. You know what I mean? I mean, we've only got 8 guys, so he's got to be. He's not able to practice them as hard as he would like to practice them. And as far as, I don't know if he yells a lot or anything like that, but I don't know about all that. And I'd say he probably is more of a player's coach than what Bob Huggins would be, because he's younger. He's a younger coach. Younger coaches typically want to try to relate to the players more, and to do that, you've got to, think a little bit more like the way they think, which means you may not be able to yell and scream and things that old school coaches did. You can't coach that way anymore with this generation of players. It's just different, and because if they don't like it, they'll just leave, So you got to be a little bit more careful about how you talk to guys and how hard you are on them. You can hold them accountable. You just got to do it in a different way today.
Yeah, you do. All right, man. It's midnight. I'm ready for bed.
Yep, I get it. Real quick, who would be the one coach, if you had to take your pick, who would be the one coach you would hire?
Gosh, man. Would
it be Dusty May or would it be somebody else?
I mean, it'd probably be somebody else if I had my choice, my pick. I'd have to look, but I mean, he's easily in the top 3. I still don't think Beeline's off the table completely. If you can get Beeline for 4 years, let's say, even though he's older, I know people are going to say, yeah, he's 70, but still, there's not much better out there than him. And you look what Pete Carroll and Nick Saban and guys like that do at a high level. It can happen. It's all about whether he gets the NIL in this day and age of things.
Coach K was coaching at a high level in his 70s.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to ask me who I would want, I would probably lean towards like somebody that's already got an established job, unfortunately. So I don't know if we can get a guy like that. I would love to have Mick Cronin, or somebody like that. That would be if I could pick anybody, it would probably be Mick Cronin, a guy that's at UCLA, which we're not going to get, So Dustin may be the best of the best that's out there that's, not up and coming. Outside of obviously Joe Mazzulla would be my number 1 pick.
Right. Absolutely. But I don't think Joe has any interest in coaching in college, is my understanding. But you at least have to make the phone call and ask.
Andy Kennedy, yeah. I'm okay with him.
I am too.
But I don't. He's down the list a little ways.
But if May signed a 10-year contract extension, he might be locked in at FAU for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see.
Joe has no interest in college because he's coaching the Eastern Conference favorite right now. You know, but if he was jobless, then he would have interest.
And I'm not sure how much he wants to. I'm not sure how much he wants to recruit and do all that stuff either. You don't have to do that stuff in the NBA.
I've never heard him speak on it. So I don't,
Only comment I've ever heard is one Hugs made about it. They asked Hugs a question one time about it or something, and he said that Joe has told him that he wasn't interested. That his ultimate goal was to coach in the NBA, and that's what he's doing. So he doesn't see him leaving unless he had to.
I just don't. I don't know the guy, so I can't speak on.
Right? No, I get it. I'm just going by what Huggins said.
Right, that's a pretty good indicator.
But anyway, well, guys, listen. It's midnight, and we've got 70 of you on here. That's pretty impressive. We appreciate the support, guys. Tuning in to listen to us two knuckleheads talk college basketball. But anyway, reminder, guys, to please like on your way out if you haven't yet. If you're in here and you're not subscribed to us, what are you waiting on? Don't forget to share it with your friends if they like college hoops. Let people know about Hoops from the Hills. Obviously, we'll be doing more and more content as we get deeper into the season. And don't forget to check out our sponsor, Dutch Miller Auto, for your next need. Next time you have automotive needs. And Sasquatch 304, we thank you for being in here, my man. Saw you pop in late. And I do beeline style of basketball is my favorite style. I love it. But anyway, night, guys. We thank you. Paul and I are out because we are tired.